Hello, everybody. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, awesome. Hi, Kyle. Okay, it is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to call the Oregon Library Board meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Nelson.
Here.
Stata.
Here.
Goplin.
Here.
Feshen.
Here.
Bergstrom.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Bonsonville. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And I realized I'm already skipping things, so I will go on to number 2 now, so I apologize. I would like to welcome Laura Reese as our newest trustee for the library board. Welcome. Sorry it's virtual. We will for sure meet in person in the next time, but I'm Jenny Nelson. I'm the president of the board. Does the other members want to just introduce themselves quick so she knows who's who? Coral, you want to go first?
Hi, I'm Coral. I've been on the board for about 4 years, and personally, I'm thankful for Zoom because you wouldn't have seen me in person because of the sickness.
Oh no, we hope you feel better, Coral. Dr. Bergstrom.
Hi there, Leslie Bergstrom, superintendent of the school district, and I'd say this is the beginning of my 3rd year on the board.
Thank you. Carlene?
Hi, I'm Carlene Beshin. I am starting my 2nd year. This is my second year on the board, middle of my 2nd year on the board. I am the village board trustee member of the board. Welcome.
Thank you. And Laura?
I'm Laura Stata. Nice to meet you, Laura. Look forward to meeting you in person. I have been with the library board starting 4 years now, so looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're trying to keep this meeting kind of short so Carl can stay awake. No, I'm just kidding. We want to make it get things through quick if we can. So I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Nay? Okay, we will go on with our agenda. Next is community input. So we allow people to speak. We limit 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anybody on that would like to speak? No, Kyle's just here to listen. Yes? Okay. Awesome. Next is the building items. So the building committee report. Jennifer, do you want me to talk? Do you want to explain?
Please go ahead, Jenny.
Excellent. So we met on Tuesday and went through a bunch of finishes for the interiors. So it's a wonderful palettes of blues and oranges and grays, kind of a steel gray as well. So we've picked a lot of paint colors, carpet colors. There's some really cool patterns for the children's area wall to kind of represent sunlight and the sky. So I think there was probably some renderings in the packet that you guys saw. So we went through all of that on Tuesday. So that was great. And it was all approved that way. So that's kind of the last step before we send out to bid. Hopefully after we get final approval tonight, we're planning to bid on Monday. So did I miss anything, Jennifer?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay. Next, discussion and possible action items. We have the final plans and specifications for the new library. So yeah, we can kind of.
So I'm going to just go through what's in the packet. Jenny said we thought this would be a quick meeting. We're not trying to rush through anything, so we can take as long as we need to talk about anything. The files are super large, so I'm having trouble even showing them on my screen. I apologize for that. Let me get to page 2 here. I'm really sorry. The site stuff is pretty large. So I'm just gonna talk and try to get the computer to catch up with me. So we did have the site plan approved in August by the Plan Commission, and they had a couple contingencies, which is pretty normal for projects. So they had a list of things that they asked us to go and address. So this is the site plan as it was presented to Plan Commission that you see in your packet. And then the second one is just more detail, kind of zoomed in. So there's some minor changes. You know, the crosswalk was made symmetrical. We widened the book drop loop here to make sure it can better accommodate like access by larger vehicles. We addressed some comments by staff to make sure there's grass next to the walking and biking path for mowing to make sure that's nice and tidy. So we basically just addressed all the comments that they provided. And then we did go back to Plan Commission last week and update them on that just to show that we responded to all of their feedback. So the changes to the site are minimal and pretty much are kind of highlighted in that memo to Plan Commission that you saw in your packet. The majority of the site plan will be prairie restoration, prairie seed mix on the property. There are some mowed grass areas right next to the front of the building along the path, walking ways and biking ways. And sidewalks areas, and then the whole rear patio area of the building are going to be some grassy areas, what we hope to use for outside programming, just a nice place for people to gather and have an outside space at the library. So those are kind of the highlights of the site plan. We've talked about this before, but there's the bike path, walking path that goes around the property. We're going to keep the existing path that's already there in the park, and this will just be an extra option for folks who want to continue their journey without having to cross our driveway. And that was something the community found desirable. And then all of the storm management areas, they're all dry ponds. There's some bioretention basins in the middle areas here that'll have plantings in them, and then a rain garden. And so those will all have plantings, and it'll kind of depend on which area and how wet they are as to which type. And then one question I've heard a lot is the statue at the current library will move to the new site. We've kind of found this area here is where that plans to go. It's not shown in the plans, but we do plan to do that. And I verified with the landscape architect that that would fit in that location. So there won't be any, that area will be reserved for that purpose. Are there any questions on, so if you see any, there are some plantings here. We did ask them to take those out to accommodate that statue in that area. Are there any questions anybody has about the site plan that they see here?
See a lot of heads nodding no, so I think we should be good.
Yeah, and I know that we went over this in August and there's only been minor changes. I just want to make sure, since we have Laura joining us for the first time, that anybody's questions are answered. So then the second part of this is the building footprint or the building floor plan. And again, this has not really changed significantly at all since the village board approval in August, with the exception that there's been some minor tweaks to casework. So you might see casework in different locations than you saw before. It's just slightly different. And then I'm going to go to the colored plan because that one's a little bit easier to see. So I think the only notable change is that we did add on the second floor, just north of the conference room here, we added a little copy center area. So we have a place for people to photocopy and print. So that is a wall change that was different from before. Otherwise, I think all the walls are the same. And we'll have a chance to approve the furniture and layout later on. So we're just looking at kind of the walls and the casework. The white plan had all it's a little harder to see unless you're familiar with reading blueprints, but this is kind of where all the walls will go based on what we approved tonight. And again, those are all the same. Any countertops in here, let's just zoom in here for a second. So anywhere where you saw this kind of item on the design would be casework. So we have our circulation desk here, a lot of casework for the self-checks. So those elements will be built as part of the general contract. I'm happy to talk more about this, but I know all of you are pretty familiar, but I do want to answer any questions people have, since they're, we are approving this to go out to bid. Are there any questions on the floor plan elements? Okay.
Yes,
Looks
Um,
like
I have
Carleen, yeah.
I have one question. Are you feeling like, even with the things that that you had to choose to leave out, that this is more, certainly it's more than what you have now, but it's enough to accommodate for the next 10 years, say, without needing expansion? Or
Yeah,
is that
I'll respond to that and then Jenny can elaborate. So this is about just over 31,000 square feet. We were shooting for 33,000, but a lot of the scaling back was done very meticulously and thoughtfully, and really weighing the community priorities that we heard during the listening sessions and community feedback that we got as part of our needs assessment back in 2019. And so we kind of kept community needs at the forefront of all the decisions we were making. We also focused, prioritized the inside and the experience and how we could meet the community's needs over kind of everything else. There's not a lot of splurges because we wanted to keep that footprint. We didn't want to build something that was going to be way too small on day one, like happened with the current building. And I think we did a pretty good job of some of the spaces we couldn't cut because they were sponsored by donors. So we have over $2 million in funds that were sponsored by donors, which is super exciting. I think we really thought carefully about each space, trying to make it as efficient as possible, and just to try to keep all the things that we heard the community wanted, and something for everybody, and to make those great spaces for all ages. I would say, and I feel like when people see kind of some of the, I'll show you some of the images of the interior that the building committee looked at last night, and I think you'll be really excited to see those. But we did, kind of prioritize those dollars on the inside to make sure we were meeting community needs and having spaces for people to enjoy. Jenny, do you want to elaborate on that? I don't know if that answered your question or not, Carleen.
Yeah, I would just add too, Jennifer's been looking through with the collection and the shelving and working with, the library services people to lay out, book needs, and the architects have gone through and, they had some suggestions of spaces, and Jennifer said, no, we need some space for books and for the collection and things. So there's been a lot of really good dialogue about how to fit things and do things that need to be done for the space that we have. So I think that we're good where we are.
awesome?
The other thing I should point out too is the site plan is that the site does allow for future expansion. So we've planned out where the parking would expand in the future. There's room for stormwater management expansion in the future. And then we do have the areas, I'll show you on this floor plan because it's a little easier to understand. I'm sorry, it's way behind here. But we do have areas planned for where each area would expand. So the children's wing would expand in this direction and possibly to the side here. And then the teen and adult area can expand on 2 stories this direction. And so we have a lot of flexibility down the road whenever that need arises and whatever path the community wants to take at that time to make those expansions. We've also tried to minimize the amount of things we're putting in those places that would need to be taken out. So you won't see trees in those expansion areas. The parking lot would expand over the geothermal well field. So a lot of thought's been put into that as well. The one thing that would need to be relocated is the rain garden that is just to the plan, the east side of the building. That would need to be relocated with the future expansion, but it is really the ideal place for that stormwater management solution now. So that was why that was specified, just not knowing the details of what future expansion would look like or how far down the road that was. It made sense to make the best choice for accommodating the needs now in that case, just because dollars are kind of at a premium in terms of the impact they can have. Does that answer everyone's questions?
Totally covers mine. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Carleen.
I'm just gonna, can I just spend a second just highlighting some of the building committee interior images that we showed last night too. I think people will be really excited to see those. So this is kind of a view of the circulation desk. We've kind of created this fun entrance for kids that kids can kind of fit through, but grown-ups can't. And this is kind of the one place where we did have a little bit nicer finish at the circulation desk to really welcome people.
And what you're seeing there is a maple wood. It's not, it kind of shows up kind of yellow sometimes, but it's actually a maple wood there at the entrance. So, and the circles are also maple. So just so you kind of to help.
We'll have a great community room. So this is kind of a rendering of the community room that'll be for library programs and community members needing a space. So we looked at that. We're going to have this cool children's nook for elementary school kids with some seating for kids, and then there'll be collection along the wall. And then this is our placeholder for kind of a nature themed wall that we're hoping to develop as our project continues. This is kind of the colors in here don't show up perfectly great, but we have a nice play area by the windows overlooking the prairie area. And there's the storytime room is going to have this great sliding glass door so that it kind of can open up after programs to expand the children's area. And then we have this, the other side of the circle wall for kids is going to be kind of a fun burst of color for the kids. So there's going to be some fun things that way. My plans again are lagging behind. We have a second floor. This rendering isn't quite, there's some glitches with this one that need to be updated. So this door here will be wood. We're going to have a nice information desk at the second floor for people needing help in the adult area. This is just kind of a different view. And there's going to be just lots of windows and natural light for all ages. A lot of seating by the windows. We've really prioritized putting all the public spaces next to the windows so the community can really enjoy the views of outside, and then putting the meeting spaces or staff areas on the parking lot side of the building to, you know, for those uses. The community room will be open, available hopefully after hours, or at least it's configured to allow for that so people can use that space when they need to. Is there anything else anybody was wondering about? The other thing I'll show real quick then is the exterior elevations. And this is the memo from Plan Commission about the changes that you all saw in your packet. So the only exterior elevations I've included here are the ones that are different from the village board meeting a couple weeks ago. So the one outside change you'll see here is that the window canopies were added over the book drop window and along all the windows here. The colors on the rendering are not realistic to the actual materials. And then the other part of that is we're hoping to upgrade the material, the wooden portion, to be masonry. So we're really hoping that the bid outcome will come out favorably. We'll be able to do that. We did have 2 cost estimates done, and we've adjusted our plans after the first estimate. The second estimate was to kind of verify we were at where we were hoping we would be at. And so we won't know on bid day how that's going to turn out, but we did do everything we possibly could to get our bid day number as close as possible to available funding. And then we'll talk about in a minute the outs that we have to try to do that. You kind of see here the canopies that were added. And from the view kind of where the new village hall will be. And then this is kind of just to zoom in to look at the detail of the canopies up close on the front entrance here. And a little more detail. The one other change that we did ask for in the plans is that we're adding back a window here when we tried to consolidate and make best use of money and kind of squish the building together. They cut out some windows, and we felt like this one here is really necessary to optimize the feel of the children's space. So we did ask them to bring that back. I got an email that I can just share on my screen for just a second here, if I can navigate. That'll show that. And then I think I've covered everything I have. Oops. So the coloring again on this is pretty awful. It's not true to what it's going to look like, but there'll be the series of 4 windows here instead of just the 3. I think that covers everything I have in the plans. Are there any last questions before you consider voting? Everything else, it should be just exactly what the village board saw when you guys had the joint meeting last time.
It doesn't look like there's any questions, so I would ask for a motion to approve the final plans and specifications for the new library.
So moved by Steda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carlene. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. And the next item is new library project alternates list.
So again, alternates are basically when you go out to bid, you say that here's a list of things that the project could add, or here's a list of things that we could remove from the project. Some of them are used as informational tools for pricing, and so that you can make good choices, or you can explore, like we have a CCTV, which is the closed circuit surveillance system on here. And that's just a way to make sure you're getting optimal pricing. So if the bid pricing is high, we would be able to work through that item in a different way. So the memo in the packet explains the alternates. I know we talked about this at the village board meeting, but basically we want to position ourselves on bid day so we have as many options as possible to try to fit within the budget to make our project being able to move forward. We have limited funds and we're trying to use those. We don't want to have to rebid because that'll be challenging or delay things, and project costs right now are not very favorable, and time is kind of not on our side. We want to really start construction this fall if possible. So the list of alternates here is nearly exactly what we talked about at the village board meeting. We did add 2 alternates. One is adding safety glass, for like an active shooter situation at the entrances to all staff areas. And so that would be something, if funding allows, that we could add as an upgrade. We also removed a windowsill alternate from the project, just because the project's kind of gone down a different path, and changing the windowsills to that product isn't necessarily the best fit anymore. And then really, we worked really hard to try to find anything else to deduct, but we've done a really thorough prioritization already. So there's really not much in the project that we can take out at this point. And so the sliding glass wall in the story time room is on the list, but we really don't want to take it out. We just, again, need to include things that if we get in a difficult situation, that we can use to make adjustments to be able to move forward with the project. So just because something is on the list doesn't mean we want to take it out. It's just trying to give us options to allow the project to move forward. We also have some unit pricing that we're asking for. So if those are things that we need later, that we just know what that unit price is, so we can, add things like solar panels if additional funding allows. We will have solar panels and geothermal in the project. This would be just for adding additional solar panels above and beyond what's already planned. So this is the kind of the proposed list of alternates. We'd like you to approve that final list. Again, just because you're approving the list of alternates, it's just getting that information from contractors putting in bids. We would still have the opportunity to review whatever the pricing is and make decisions when we award the contract about which of those things to include or exclude in the project. So approving them now doesn't mean you're in favor of adding or deleting any specific item.
Are there any questions on the list? I know we've gone over it, I think, before. So I would take a motion to approve the list of alternates.
So moved, Bergstrom.
Is there a second?
Second, Stata.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you. Next is our next meeting is September 14th at 5 p.m. So that is, I think, next Tuesday. So that's our normal meeting. Or is that Wednesday? I don't even know anymore. I've lost track. I've lost track of days.
Just to clarify, that meeting will be next Wednesday. At 5 o'clock. I think the main item will be the budget. I have our budget meeting with the village on Tuesday, so I won't know a whole lot before then, but we will need to have the meeting because of the budget timing. So I will also be reaching out. We will probably need to schedule a special meeting in October to award the bid for the project. So I'll be reaching out to kind of coordinate that so we can keep things moving forward after we get the bids back.
Excellent. Are there any future agenda items anybody would like to add? Okay, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you guys for your time. And Coral, I hope you feel better, and appreciate everybody coming.
Congratulations.
So tell all your contractor friends to look for the bid on Monday. Okay. Kyle, you too.
Thank you all for your work.
Thank
you.
you.
Congratulations.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Very excited. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.